It was a quiet night in a Japanese temple in the year 1620. The air was thick with incense and silence. A young boy named Takeshi knelt before his master, trembling not from cold, but from the weight of a single question that would change everything he thought he knew about the human mind. The master's voice cut through the darkness like a blade through water. If 10 thoughts attack you at once, how many can you control? Takeshi answered with the confidence of youth. All of them, master. The old man shook his head slowly, his eyes reflecting centuries of wisdom. Wrong. The answer is none. Because the moment you try to control 10 thoughts, you have already been defeated by the first one. Right now, in this very moment, you are living the exact same problem that destroyed samurai warriors 400 years ago. Your mind is scattered across 10 different places at the same time. It's why you feel anxiety crawling up your spine at 3 in the morning. It's why you procrastinate on the things that matter most. It's why you reach for your phone every 15 seconds like a reflex you can't control. It's why you feel overwhelmed even when you're doing nothing at all. The ancient warriors called this the enemy within, and it killed more samurai than any sword ever could. Today, you're going to learn the forbidden method they used to conquer this invisible enemy, the same method that transformed Takeshi from a talented failure into a master of internal silence. And by the end of this story, you'll understand why this 400-year-old technique is the most powerful tool you can possess in the modern world. Takeshi was 16 years old, living in feudal Japan during an era when mental weakness meant death. He was technically gifted. His sword movements were precise. His footwork was flawless. But he had one fatal flaw that everyone could see. During training, while his body executed perfect techniques, his mind was somewhere else entirely. Thoughts raced through his head like wild horses. Fear of failure, memories of past mistakes, worries about what others thought of him, anticipation of the next move. His fellow students would whisper behind his back, "Good technique, broken mind." And they were right. Takeshi wasn't losing fights because of his body. He was losing because of the war happening inside his skull. The master saw what no one else could see. Takeshi wasn't fighting the opponent in front of him. He was fighting the chaos inside him. And in a moment of brutal honesty that would shatter the young warrior's ego, the master pulled him aside and said, "You think about 10 things while you execute one movement. This is why none of your strikes are true. This is why you hesitate. This is why you fail." The words hit Takeshi harder than any physical blow ever could. Shame consumed him. But shame, when channeled correctly, becomes the fuel for transformation. That night, Takeshi made a decision. He would find the truth, no matter what it cost him. Deep within the temple archives, hidden behind scrolls that hadn't been touched in decades, Takeshi discovered something that was never meant for students' eyes. A secret manuscript. The title read, Fushin no Metsuke, which translates to the eye that does not move. This was the forbidden method, the mental technique that elite samurai used to achieve absolute control over their own consciousness. But as Takeshi read the ancient text, he realized something shocking. The method wasn't about controlling thoughts at all. It was about something far more subtle and infinitely more powerful. The next morning, the master found Takeshi studying the forbidden scroll. Instead of punishing him, the old man smiled for the first time in months. "So you found it," he said quietly. Now let me tell you what it really means. He sat down across from the young warrior and painted a picture with his words. Imagine 10 bandits attacking you in a forest. If you chase after one, the other 9 will attack you from behind. If you try to fight all 10 at once, you'll be overwhelmed in seconds. The only way to survive is to stand perfectly still, aware of all 10, controlled by none. This is the secret. Thoughts are like those bandits. The moment you chase one, the others control you. The moment you fight them, they multiply. The only path to mastery is to become the still point in the center of the storm. The master introduced him to a concept that would become the foundation of everything. Zanshin. Total and silent awareness. Not the awareness that comes from thinking about being aware, but the awareness that exists before thought even begins. This was the state that legendary warriors entered during combat, where the body moves without the mind interfering, where decisions happen faster than conscious thought, where fear exists but doesn't control. Takeshi began his training immediately, and he failed miserably. For 30 days, Takeshi waged war against his own mind. He tried to control his thoughts. It made them louder. He tried to ignore them. They became more persistent. He tried to fight them mentally. Pure chaos. Every technique he attempted backfired spectacularly. Frustration turned into desperation. Desperation turned into rage. And rage is exactly what the master was waiting for. On day 31, as Takeshi sat trembling with exhaustion and mental fatigue, the master spoke the words that changed everything. The mind is not your enemy. The mind is like water in a pond. It only becomes chaotic when you keep agitating it. The moment you stop interfering, it naturally settles into perfect stillness. Then came the ritual. The master called it the method of empty space. The instructions were deceptively simple. Breathe deeply and slowly. Pause for 3 full seconds at the bottom of each exhale. Place your attention on the physical sensation of your body, nothing more. When thoughts arise, and they will arise constantly, don't follow them. Don't fight them. Simply notice them like clouds passing through the sky, and return your attention to your breath, to your body, to the present moment. That's it. No mysticism, no complex philosophy. Just the deliberate practice of returning attention to the now over and over and over again. The first time Takeshi experienced 3 seconds of true mental silence, something inside him shifted permanently. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't euphoric. It was simply a gap in the noise. 3 seconds where no thought existed. 3 seconds of pure presence. And in those 3 seconds, he understood what the master had been trying to teach him all along. Peace isn't found by winning the mental war. Peace is found by refusing to fight it. What Takeshi discovered in 1620, neuroscience confirmed 400 years later. When you practice this kind of attention, you're literally rewiring your brain. You're deactivating what scientists call the default mode network, the part of your brain responsible for rumination, anxiety, and self-referential thinking. You're reducing the hyperactivity of the amygdala, the fear center that keeps you in a constant state of threat detection. You're strengthening the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for executive function, decision-making, and emotional regulation. The state the samurai called mushin, which means no mind, is the exact same state that modern athletes call flow, that psychologists call presence, that performers call being in the zone. Here's what most people get wrong about this. They think it's about motivation. They think it's about positive thinking. They think it's about learning to control every thought. But that's impossible. The human brain generates between 60,000 and 80,000 thoughts per day. You will never control them all, and trying to do so is what creates the suffering in the first place. What you can control is where you place your attention. And attention is everything. Where attention goes, energy flows. Where energy flows, results show. The samurai understood this at a level most people never reach. They discovered that the battle isn't against external enemies. The real battle is against the internal tendency to be everywhere except where you actually are. Takeshi applied the method in combat for the first time 3 months after discovering the scroll. His opponent was faster, stronger, more experienced. But something was different. For the first time in his life, Takeshi wasn't thinking about the fight while fighting. His body simply moved. When the opponent attacked, his defense was already there. When an opening appeared, his strike was already flowing through it. There was no delay between perception and action. No mental commentary. No second guessing. Just pure response. He didn't defeat his opponent through superior technique. He defeated his opponent by becoming fully present in each microsecond of combat. After the match, a profound realization washed over him. Winning wasn't about defeating the other person. Winning was about defeating distraction. The master watched from the shadows and knew. The student was ready for the real test. The test that separated those who dabbled in the method from those who embodied it completely. The chaos trial. The rules were simple and brutal. Face an opponent who is better than you in every measurable way. Faster reflexes, more experience, superior technique. But the objective isn't to win the fight. The objective is to maintain presence throughout the entire ordeal. To stay in the method even when fear screams at you to abandon it. To keep your attention anchored even when every survival instinct tells you to panic. The opponent was merciless. He provoked Takeshi verbally, trying to trigger emotional reactions. He created fake openings to test patience. He used overwhelming speed to induce panic. He applied psychological pressure designed to break concentration. And through it all, Takeshi held the center, breath steady, attention locked, internal silence maintained. His body obeyed his awareness without interference from fear or ego. The fight became a flow state so deep that time seemed to slow down. Near the end, the opponent left an obvious opening, a strike that would guarantee victory. Takeshi saw it clearly, and he didn't take it, because he recognized it for what it was, a trap, a final test of his presence. The master stepped forward and ended the trial with a single word, enough. Then he looked at Takeshi with something that might have been pride and said, now you see. But there was another level, a level that even most masters never reached. The master revealed it to Takeshi only after proving he could maintain presence during combat. He called it Fudoshin, the immovable mind. This wasn't just about maintaining presence in meditation or during structured combat. This was about maintaining presence during absolute chaos. Meditating while experiencing physical pain. Meditating while surrounded by loud noise and distraction. Meditating while moving rapidly. Meditating while someone actively tries to provoke you emotionally. Meditating without meditating. Maintaining that internal stillness while fully engaged in the messy complexity of real life. The training was designed to break him, and it did, multiple times. But each time he broke, he rebuilt himself stronger. Each time he lost presence, he learned something new about how to maintain it. The real lesson revealed itself slowly. Unshakable presence isn't about silencing the mind. The mind will never be completely silent as long as you're alive. Unshakable presence is about silencing the ego's need to control, to judge, to narrate, to make everything about itself. When the ego releases its grip, what remains is pure awareness. And pure awareness cannot be disturbed by any external circumstance. Now let's bring this forward 400 years. You're not a samurai. You're not training for combat. But you're facing something the ancient warriors never had to face. The modern world is specifically designed to destroy your attention. Social media algorithms engineered to create compulsive checking behaviors. News cycles optimized for anxiety and outrage. Endless entertainment options that prevent you from ever experiencing boredom. Work cultures that glorify busyness over effectiveness. The result is a generation of people who are constantly stimulated but never satisfied, always connected but deeply lonely, technically busy but fundamentally unproductive. You know this feeling intimately. The anxiety that bubbles up for no clear reason. The impulsive reaching for your phone during any moment of silence. The addiction to screens that you can't seem to break no matter how many times you try. The procrastination that keeps you from doing the things you know you should do. The inability to focus on a single task for more than a few minutes without your mind wandering to a dozen other things. The invasive thoughts that won't leave you alone. The mental overload that makes even simple decisions feel exhausting. The fear of an uncertain future that steals your peace in the present. The self-criticism that runs on loop in the background of your consciousness. What Takeshi discovered in the 17th century is the most essential skill of the 21st century. The ability to maintain presence and direct attention despite infinite distraction. The modern application is simple but not easy. Establish one non-negotiable ritual every single day. It doesn't need to be long. 5 minutes is enough if those 5 minutes are truly practiced. Find your version of the empty space method. It might be breath work. It might be mindful walking. It might be sitting in silence. The specific technique matters less than the consistency. Practice with zero mental negotiation. Don't ask yourself if you feel like it. Don't evaluate whether it's working. Just do it with the same reliability that you brush your teeth. Build tolerance to discomfort. The method works precisely because it's uncomfortable to sit with yourself without distraction. That discomfort is the training. Adopt these principles as non-negotiable laws. Presence before action. Don't react immediately. Insert a gap. Breathe once before responding to that text. Wait 3 seconds before clicking that link. Pause before making that decision. Breathing before response. When someone triggers you emotionally, breathe 3 times before you speak. When anxiety spikes, breathe 5 times before you act. Silence before decision. When facing an important choice, sit in silence for 60 seconds before deciding. Let the mental noise settle, then choose. Years passed. Takeshi became a master himself. One day, a new student arrived, eager and ambitious, asking to learn the secret techniques of mental control. Takeshi handed him a broom and told him to sweep the courtyard. The student was confused. "Master, I came here to learn how to control my mind, not to sweep floors. Takeshi smiled the same way his master had smiled at him decades earlier. The broom will teach you everything you need to know. Sweep with full attention. When your mind wanders, what it will constantly, notice and bring your attention back to the sweeping. Do this for 1 hour every day for 30 days. Then we will talk about controlling the mind. The student started to protest, but something in Takeshi's eyes stopped him. The cycle was repeating. The truth was being passed down. Not through complex teachings, but through simple, deliberate practice. Control of the mind is control of life. This isn't metaphorical. This is literal. Your life is nothing more than a series of moments, and your experience of those moments is determined entirely by where your attention is placed. If your attention is scattered across past regrets and future anxieties, you're not living in reality. You're living in a mental prison of your own construction. If your attention is fully present in this moment, right here, right now, you access a kind of power that most people never experience. The power to respond instead of react. The power to choose instead of being controlled by impulse. The power to remain calm while chaos swirls around you. The ancient samurai discovered something that modern society desperately needs to rediscover. External success means nothing if you don't have internal peace. All the achievements, all the possessions, all the status in the world won't fill the void that comes from being disconnected from the present moment. Takeshi learned this the hard way. You have the opportunity to learn it through deliberate practice instead of painful experience. The method is simple. Return your attention to now, over and over and over again. Every time you notice you're lost in thought, that noticing itself is a victory. That moment of awareness is the gap where transformation happens. This is your call, not to become a samurai, not to master some ancient mystical art, but to become someone who cannot be controlled by their own mind. Someone who remains present when everyone else is lost in mental noise. Someone who acts from awareness instead of reacting from conditioning. Someone who experiences life as it actually is instead of through the distorted lens of constant mental commentary. The method is here. The path is clear. All that remains is the decision to walk it. Train. Practice. Return tomorrow. Do it again and again. And watch as the chaos that once controlled you slowly transforms into the stillness that sets you free. This is the secret they never wanted you to learn. Not because it's forbidden, but because once you truly understand it, you become impossible to manipulate by anyone, including yourself.